Konnichiwa Mina. Hello everybody. Welcome to chapter 3 of the Exodus story and the final chapter of magazine 1. So, let's get started. So, chapter 3 is going to be an all-out war. If you guys have not watched the first two chapters, I highly recommend that you do so, because chapter 3 is just going to be an all-out war. So, I hope you guys enjoy chapter 3. Several weeks later, some cards blew past Skyborn's fallen double doors as its leader re-entered the premises. She was drifting, but not fast. Her shoulders hung low, barely able to keep her chin up. She was tired and out of breath. "Skyrus!" shouted Kareth and the others in despite welcome. About 40 drifters rushed to her side. "I made it back," she said, panting. "The terror has not ended," shouted someone. "The threats just keep coming. The nightmare out there has covered the sky for days on end," said the second. "I think it's getting closer," screamed another. "I know," replied Skyrus hoarsely. She glanced over her shoulder. Beyond the doors, the sky glowed bright fuchsia, nebula-defining shapes, the four figures of the horizon. "Let me guess, Council of Galaxies, right?" "Please tell me you got that. Please tell me you got the startled Kareth." She flashed a new card, trimming in gold, and the faces of the drifters around her lit up under the intense blue light it gave off. Silence fell over the entry hall for just a moment before an unnatural rumbling brought everyone to their senses. "Do you really think this will work?" asked Kareth. "It has to," said Skyrus. She wondered how something so intangible could shake the whole planet. She supposed she was about to find out. The doorway was awash of a faint pink from the sky above. I'm sorry, guys. Its color now creeping into the castle. Skyrus turned to head back outdoors. "Where are you going?" hollered the onlooker. "Yeah, we need you here, Miss D. Castle," another agreed. Skyrus stopped for a moment. "You're right," said Kareth, placing a hand on her shoulder. "Besides, you are in no shape to go back out there so soon. You need to rest. It takes enough out of someone to forge any new creature, but you just forged." "I forged a solution," Skyrus interrupted. She seemed more hurt than angry. She was frustrated, but not angry. Not ever at her guildmates, those remained who stuck by her through it all. "Okay," said Kareth, as he backed off slightly, "but you are not going out there alone again." The other drifters who stood nearby nodding in agreement. A cardsmith and a couple of medics shouted at one another as they zoomed past the gathering. They were clearly lost in what was a part of no longer conversation, busy, or other matters. "Don't worry about the others," assured Kareth. "Cynthia and I will round up the rest, and we'll follow you out there. We're here to back you up, Skyrus. This is a war between two guilds, as the spur of creation of a third. We won't go down without a fight." "But that's what I'm afraid of," said Skyrus. "That we'll go down. All of us." "But that's what I'm afraid of." "Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys. We're here to back you up. All of us. The ones that you've left have already. Have left already. We've made our decision." "You guys are the best I've ever known," said the guild leader. "Thank you." After Kareth and Cynthia gathered the rest of Skyborn's members, the group was off. The entire guild took to the skies, every last one of them, leaving their partially reconstructed castle completely vacant and unprepared entrance wide open. After all, if they lost this battle, there would be nothing left to come back to. Skyrus D Castle drifted at the head of the pack. There was less than 1,000 drifters total, which is undoubtedly small for any guild, especially one heading straight into a war zone. The journey was hundreds of miles, and all the while had to endure the fuchsia-colored monstrosity mocking them on the horizon. Skyrus' heart raced as they got closer. She wondered if she was heading her friends straight to their deaths, or most would somehow find themselves back on Earth with their halberds broke. Many of Skyborn drifters held a card at their side as they traveled, prepared to summon their first angel as soon as they arrived. But as they reached to their destination, some put their cards back into their slot on their halberd as if ready to surrender. Skyrus was the first to drift to a halt of the edge of the cliff over a cannon. Her heart was pounding now. She was sure those standing nearest to her could hear it. Misty Castle and the rest of the Skyborn Guild. Welcome, bloomed a masculine voice above a cliff on the other side of the canyon. Three other cloaked drifters who were adorned in gold accessories stood by him. There were 2 men and 2 women. One of the girls was wearing a golden crown. They were backed by an army of over 10,000 drifters of all ages. We're so glad we can make it, although we're surprised to see every last member here. That makes our job easier. That is, unless you're hiding some new recruits that we don't know about. On second thought, I don't think anyone this foolish enough would join you anymore. I would know all about that, wouldn't you? Said Skyrus. She wouldn't bring herself to call one of her ex-council members by name, except for Victoria, perhaps. Even then, she didn't know if she could stomach it at this point. You stole the rest of our guild from us. The second man of the 4 made a strange clicking noise before replying, Stole? That's not a very nice thing to say. And it's not all true. All those people chose to leave your weak guild behind. And they chose wisely, said the girl next to him, not wearing a crown. Grins rippled through the crowd behind them, and the nebula formation above shook the atmosphere and the cannon between them. Skyborn Guild members were already starting to back away. Skyrus glowered, and her bangs fell over her eyes, masking her emotion. She drifted forward beyond the edge of the cliff of her guild stood on. Oh, is the legendary leader of Skyborn coming out play? Said one of the males of the 4. But Skyrus didn't even bridge the cannon gap, halfway between them, when she suddenly disappeared in a blink of an eye, then reappeared a second later at the front of the opposing army. She reached out with her heavy metallic halberd and grabbed the crowned girl's golden arm, nearly breaking it, if then and there. You always were vain, said Skyrus, but this, she said, pointing at the space monster above, even I would never been conceited, though to forge a creature with my own image. With that, she yanked Victoria upwards and tossed her skywards, zooming afterwards. Oh man, here we go. Some Naruto Sasuke situation happening. Like, I'm alright with that. Both armies both armies' gazes followed and watched the two young leaders catch themselves in midair, the heat between them spreading through their guilds like wildfire. You only wish you could have forged something as beautiful as this, retorted the girl with the crown, so Victoria. We will have order. Just leave them out of this, Victoria. This fight is between you and me. No, Skyrus, this fight is ours, said a dual voice that sent vibrations through everything in sight. The voice belonged to Victoria, her 3 council members below, and the 4 figures depicted in a fuchsia nebula above. If you thought you were the only ones that could forge a creature from the entire galaxy, you were wrong. Skyrus held up a blue card, massive spheres of energy already forming before her. Come forth, Alana the Star Formation. Which you can see on the front of this magazine. That's Alana the Star Formation. The ground, the atmosphere, all of creation shook violently, causing an unprecedented rubble like music. White light momentarily flashed and blinded the planet. A blue light so bright, so intense, that it overpowered the consistent glow cast over the land by the fuchsia sky creature, appeared to seize the stare at every living thing. It spanned the entire horizon, made of rolling clouds, stars, and a blue nebulance that formed the shape of an angel. Her hair flowed upwards into outer space as if under water. One of her hands reached out and pierced the chest of one of the fuchsia creature's 4 figures. Oh yeah, we are getting a battle between Atlanta the Star Formation and Council of Galaxies. This is so cool. The Skyborn Guild railed, nearly blown away by the sheer force of the wind generated by her summon. With hope restored, and all drew cards and rushed forward into the sea of order drifters on the other side of the cannon. There was a deafening roar, and ears rang as the order summoned thousands of creatures donning antlers against the wave of angels. Hours later, the battle is still raging. Council of Galaxies attack Alana, shouted Victoria. She flashed a symmetry card to increase its power just before the attack hit. Gold energy trailed like an ocean behind the fuchsia figures as they swept across the sky. A living blue galaxy took the damage, but it was not destroyed. Its glow faltered, but pulsed brighter moments later. Blessings and endowment, shouted Skyrus, tossing the cards as they dissolved into Stardust's graveyard below. You know angels were always best at buffing. It's your move, Skyrus, said Victoria, clenching her fist. She glanced up at Council of Galaxies. One of the creature's 4 figures was completely destroyed. However, the new technique used to forge it appeared to have paid off. The creature of this magnitude would not be easily defeated, even if attacked by a creature of similar size. Even so, she had underestimated Skyrus' skill to forge an answer like Alana. I see you made a cozy home for yourself up there on Star Buff Summit, said Skyrus, drawing 6 more cards. Is that what you're calling it? Replied Victoria. She didn't have a name for it yet, but I like the ring of it. I think I'll use that. Skyrus gritted her teeth, disgusted at the way of her former friend seemed to own the derogatory name. I thought you were bluffing when you four threatened to leave Skyborn. The double or quadruple voice roared with laughter in unison. Especially you, Victoria. After all we've been through. Shows how well you really knew me, replied the crowned brunette with a smirk. We never bluff, one of the councilmen added, coming to Victoria's side. The other two council drifters also rejoined their crowned leader, while Skyrus took her turn. 4 against 1 now. 4 against 1 now, it is, asked Skyrus. You always said you enjoyed a challenge, mocked one of them. As they made their move, the Council of Galaxies turned from the blue star formation and sets its sights on Skyrus. Oh, wow. So, Council of Galaxies is like, you know what, forget Atlanta, we're gonna go straight to Skyrus. Man. The four figures fully restored. It reached down to attack the white-haired girl as the angel that covered her horizon was unsummoned. Skyrus, in tears, not quite fleeing, zipped around the battlefield. She was searching for someone. For anyone that belonged to her guild. Come back, Skyrus, the fun has just begun, sang the quad voice. Fuchsia Nebula chased Skyborn's leader like some kind of polluted thought stream. The Order was cruel. All of them. Their battle was won, and yet they toyed with her, tormenting her before her downfall. She hadn't meant to, but she caused them suffering, and now she wanted to do the same to her, or worse. At last, she found her guildmates. Steve, I need your help. Lewis reporting on duty, Miss Decastle, shouted Steve, breaking away from his battle against the Order creature, wielding a rapier. Find Kareth or Cynthia, or anyone who can help them hold off attacks from the west. Yes, ma'am, replied Steve. And why the west? I will bring our last resort and regroup with you there. Steve was already gesturing to his son Logan, and Starcaster had just destroyed a nearby Lancer antler creature. He wondered why his leader was going off alone, again, afraid by the fact that their own galaxy creature wasn't enough, and didn't even know that her last resort was. But he trusted her, and there wasn't exactly time to explain. He nodded as Skyrus flew off. Chaos was everywhere. Skyrus flew over shattered metal plates strewn across the battlefield. Wherever she looked, she saw Order drifters and their twisted angels seeking out new opponents. She prayed for the safety of her friends who remained, and hoped those defeated in battle were sent back to Earth and not lying lifeless on the chasms below. So yes, drifters can pass away in Eventide. Her heart broke as she left her comrades fighting alone, flying as fast as she could over the high mountains and away from the action in the valleys. As much as she hated it, she had no choice but left to find Hal Singard. Dragana's headquarters was hard to find, and its leader harder still. But there was time only to look one place for the red-eyed brute. She'd bet her life he'd be there. Even at her top speed, she was currently handicapped from exhaustion, and also summoning a land at the star formation too. If took her longer than she thought, she could get there. She saw him, a figure in dark red drifting over a dusty plain beneath a chain of floating volcanoes. She'd never been so happy to see that color, as awful as it was. It was better than the putrid pink horizon behind her. She spun the drifter around, almost knocking him over in haste. How? I know you hate me as much as the council, but people are dying. Please, I need your help. Skyrus paused hastily. Skyrus paused suddenly, shocked to find that the crimson cloak didn't belong to Hal at all. Slow down there, miss. What seems to be there's no time. Where's Hal Singard? He's not available right now. But Skyrus slapped the man in the face, making him drop whatever kind of stone and key he was holding. You idiot! I'm the leader of Skyborn and people are dead. Tell me, where is he now? Okay, stammered the man, nearly knocked down again. He gave her directions, and she flew off before he could finish. Hal Singard, Skyrus' voice echoed through the cave, bearing by sand dunes. The entrance was already covered again by moving sand. She glided carefully, using her halberd as a lantern. She could hear a flap and a turn. She heard a flap and turned and found the guild leader inspecting faint ruins on the cave wall. His halberd flared and he turned, his red eyes resting on her. Hear me out, Hal. Please. My guild has been decimated. Our castle laid to waste. I care nothing about the guild itself anymore. There's no Skyborn guild. I wish I could. Hold on. There's no Skyborn guild. I only wish to save the people who are left. I'm sorry, guys. I lost my spot there. She was sobbing. She realized and stopped only when she saw he was staring at her unresponsive. Hal, please. You must understand. Skyrus placed both hands on his shoulder, and he didn't move. There is a creature the size of the entire galaxy out there to destroy everything I had left. The Order. They're taking the lives of innocent people, and I don't think for a second they'll come after you next. Hal stared at her, amused. Please do something, Hal. You are the last chance I have of saving them. Skyrus screamed as she shook him by the shoulders. Partially collapsed, she fell against his chest and sobbing. She was at her end, and realizing of it all hitting her like a frightened train. First, never touch me, he said, pushing away. Second, I will help you. You will? Sniveled Skyrus, looking up at his unblinking eyes. On one condition, he added. Anything, she replied. When this is over, you will grant me unrestricted access to Skyborn's maps, archives, logs, and castles, and all other locations at any time for any given reason, no questions asked. Skyrus felt herself exhale sharply. If there's anything left, she thought. Deal. Look, she's back, exclaimed a Skyborn drifter as he got pummeled by a direct attack from an Order creature with dual blades. A symphony was rising across the field. Kareth and a handful of Skyborn drifters waved their arms wildly at a fast-approaching Skyrus from the west. Their hope had worn thin. Despite for good news, she crash-landed near them, nearly falling off the edge where they stood. Most were too worn out to drift. I brought backup, she said, out of breath again. What do you mean, backup? One asked. Skyrus produced a shiny new card from her halberd that looked beautiful and deadly at once. the first cross between a dragon and an angel, she said, but before anyone could express their mortification, a loud wind from the hills of Babylon of Dragonish drifters made their way towards the battlefield behind Skyrus. "Look sharp, D. Castle," said the drifter in red as dragons flooded the field. Drifters in their ranks passed out cards to a few skyborn drifters left standing. Dragonis members waved their halberds over different parts of Stardust Leighton Field and re-pieced back together destroyed angel cards. They shuffled them into their own decks, and their halberds transformed talons and feathers jutting from metal. "What are they doing here?" asked a Skyborn member of Skyrus. "They are on our side now." "An alliance? At one cost?" Yeah. "An alliance? At what cost?" asked another. Skyrus hesitated. Nothing. Steve, Logan, and Karth exchanged glances, while others murmured anxiously. "Now, even I don't believe that," said Logan. He was 14 years old. None, no questions asked," repeated Skyrus. But that she turned to face the monstrous nebula creature being controlled by 4 drifters. They were going mad with its power. "Come on, we have a war to win." If all happened so quickly, Skyrus led her remaining troops directed to Victoria and others at the helm of Order. At the same time, tens of thousands of Dragonish drifters engaged in battle with the rest of Order. Dragonfire scorched the planet as blades pierced scales and feathers, backed by a soundtrack of the Order's anthem, and its musician angels played. "Go on, summon it," said Hal, as he and the 2 other drifters stepped up to challenge the council alongside Skyrus. "What we have here?" teased Victoria. "What's the matter, Skyrus? Already so desperate that you went crying to your sworn enemy for help. What happened to having valor? You make me sick." "Funny, I was going to say the same thing to you," replied the girl with the white hair. "Oh, man. Skyrus roasted." "That's funny." Hal Singard grumbled and immediately summoned a dragon from a portal. It collided with one of the musician angels, returning it to Stardust. It was 4 versus 4, with thousands dueling in the air and on the ground beneath them. A fuchsia threat loomed tirelessly overhead. "Enough talk. We're going to end this terror right now," Skyrus declared. "I summon Angel." That is awesome. So, we're almost done, guys. Feathers ruffled and wings turned to ears as the majestic creature surged into play. Fireflies swarmed to it like a Ramona to a shark. It had the body of a dragon, and it was covered from head to tail in pure white feathers. It was boon to the battlefield, as suddenly all of thousands of angels and dragons grew more powerful and began taking out Order creatures at a faster rate. Additionally, one of Skyrus' helpmates activated a symmetry card that brought forth a chain of floating green islands. The lower rarity creatures grew power level of the Order's rare creations. "We will end this once and for all," shouted Skyrus as she dove and threw a card like a knife down into the crevice below. Dang! Skyrus is throwing cards like Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter. That's awesome. The canyon erupted, a blinding blue explosion in every direction. A land of the star formation returned, filling the valley around them with deafening force. The blue energy cracked as your angel prepared to assist Alana's attack. The whole heavenly host appeared, on one side, flanked by dimensional creatures returning from stardust. On the opposite side of the field, angels with antlers brandished all kinds of weapons and blades, some waiting to conduct multiple attacks, like Lazarus, and others simply to protect fellow order creatures. Like, what's that card called? Is it Victory, Gatekeeper of the Order? I think that's the name of the card. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Only we can bring the order to the chaos of this world. Bellowing a quadruple voice, the council spoke together with an echoing tone. Attack! The Dragonis and Skyborn side bellowed a command as well. The two planet-sized nebula creatures attacked each other in the atmosphere above. Their collision, both a beautiful supernova and a deafening, catastrophic event. So yeah, guys, that is the end of chapter 3 and the end of this magazine. So we'll be going on to issue 2 now. So, because that's where the continuation of the story is going to be. So yeah, guys, an amazing, amazing battle. Just awesome. Just the war between Skyborn and Dragonis and Order. Just so cool. Just seeing the rivalry between Skyrus and Victoria. They kind of have like that Naruto Sasuke kind of relationship. And them roasting each other is pretty funny too, you know. And having Hal helping the Skyborn, guild, but in return, okay, like Hal was all like, if you want us to help you, you have to give us access to everything in the Skyborn Guild. That includes information, that includes your place to stay. We're gonna have all that, right? And then Skyrus is all like, yeah, I guess. So she's kind of put like in this ultimatum where I don't want to give these people our information, but at the same time we need them or else we're gonna lose. So she was kind of putting this ultimatum. So Skyrus, not being completely stupid, was all like, okay, you can join our team. You can have our information. Just join our team. And yeah, so very smart, Skyrus. Very, very smart. Yeah, so I cannot wait to read more of the story. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know this is a 30-minute video. That never happens on this channel. But I hope you guys enjoyed anyway. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next magazine, in the next chapter. またね。